even begin to explain how amazing that was. I have waited my whole life for a game like this. Let me just explain something to you. Let me just explain this. Let's just talk about this. Cameron Jordan. He's going to retweet Donovan Smith's contract. He's going to say, we're going to eat. I'm Cameron Jordan. I have to make fun of other players in order to make myself feel better. You got shut down, boy! I don't want to hear it! You can sit on the couch! And Marshawn Lattimore? He has a nice defensive play on Mike Evans. He goes, like Mike Evans is his son. Like Mike Evans is his little son. You want to see what happened? Mike Evans ran that little route in the end zone. Catch! Marshawn Lattimore, see ya! Go home! And I was so sick of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's going to punch our player. He's literally going to punch our player in the back. And there's a video of it. And you want to be the dirtiest player in the NFL? You want to be the dirtiest player in the NFL that literally everyone hates? Nobody likes you, except maybe people on your team that encourage you to do it. You try to punch our players back? See ya! Goodbye, baby! How about the Buccaneers? Welcome back to Bucs Planet Podcast. I'm sorry I had to do that intro. I just had to. I was so fired up. How about those Buccaneers? Let's just be honest. How about them? If this wasn't a story of, honestly, if you don't even care, but yet somehow you're watching this, which I highly doubt, but let's just pretend you don't even care. You should care just by the fact that this was a story of, the little engine that could. You guys read that book, right? Read to you, one of the two, right? It's David versus Goliath. It's just one of those iconic sports stories where you have that bully on the end of the block, and they just keep beating you. And then when it finally came down, to when it actually mattered in the playoffs, win or go home, you overcome all the adversity of being one of the worst franchises in NFL history, especially this past decade. And you finally figure it out. And then you beat that team that was dominating you, that are bullies, that constantly make dirty plays and get cheap shots. And you finally overcame all of the losing and the constant bitterment of the media, and you beat them to advance in a huge upset victory. It doesn't get better than that. It does not get better than that. I love it. I hate the Saints, and we actually sent them home. Their season, the New Orleans Saints season is over. Because of us. We will be playing a football game this weekend. And they will be watching us play a football game this weekend. Because of us. That's amazing. I love it. I actually love it. And there's a lot to unpack in this game and then our game against the Packers this weekend. So that's why I'm making this video. And there's going to be another one coming out in a few days about previewing the Packers game. Because I needed an entire video dedicated to this win. I'm not even going to talk about the Packers really this week. On this episode. We just need an entire New Orleans Saints recap video because that was one of the greatest days of my entire life. I'm just going to be honest here. It really does not get better than seeing Sean Payton on the sidelines, having Drew Brees' retirement party, and seeing Michael Thomas have 0 catches and sending their cocky, entitled, overrated selves home. It just does not get better than this. It really doesn't. So let's get into it. Why and how did we win? And basically, not that, I'm going to pat myself on the back here, but they literally did everything I said they should do to win the game. Offensively, it wasn't great, and we'll get into that. Let's talk about that defense. That forced 3 interceptions and a fumble. How about that Buccaneer defense, like the old 0-2 days? I said all week, I said on my Snapchat story, I said it on this podcast, I said don't call zone, call man coverage. And what did? We called man coverage pretty much the whole game, and we forced the turnovers. Drew Brees was old. He could not beat us with his arm going outside the numbers, right? And That's how we won. I mean, we pressed the receivers. Our corners were excellent. I mean, Carlton Davis looks like Deion Sanders out there. Sean Murphy Bunting looks like Mel Blount out there. I mean, any goated cornerback. I mean, that's what they look. That's what they looked like. I mean, even Jamel Dean had a couple nice plays. Really great slant breakup, which we know they like to run a lot. Winfield, he gave up the catch to Jared Cook and then forced a fumble. It was amazing. It really was. Oh my gosh, I didn't even make. Normally I have like notes for the game or for the episode that I'm gonna talk about. I didn't even make notes. I'm just like I'm gonna come out and make this because I'm fired up, and I'm gonna figure it out as I go along. So this might be the least prepared podcast of all time, but like, I mean, how about those Buccaneers, man? I mean, how about the Buccaneers? Woo! You know what's funny is, I mean, all week, all year, all the last like 10 years, it's just always been the same. It's always been Drew Brees. It's always been all these things. I understand Drew Brees is a nice person, but I mean, see ya. Thank goodness he is out of the division. A lot of Buccaneers fans, they keep posting Drew Brees appreciation posts. I mean, like I don't really think you're a Bucs fan if you're doing that. I mean, like, you can like him as a person, but as a football player, I can't stand him. He destroys my football team usually. Not this time. But usually. That was one of the greatest sights to see, knowing that we sent him out the way we did on a horrible note. Drew Brees' retirement party hosted by your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love it. I hate the Saints. Woo! Holy. What a win. And it all started with Todd Bowles finally calling man defense most of the game because, the New Orleans, they keep overhyping the receivers. It wasn't all, Drew Brees had some horrible, horrible throws, underthrows, bad decisions. The receivers also just weren't getting open. I watched the film. I went back, I watched the whole game. Some of the receivers weren't really doing a great job of getting open. Michael Thomas couldn't get open. 0 catches. That's a big deal because he wasn't even injured. He did not have an injury designation going into the game, I believe, meaning that he was basically 100%, and we shut him down. Carlton Davis shut him down, who I've been, he kind of has an up and down season. He does really good sometimes, and then, we have a Tyreek Hill game where I was freaking like 200 yards the first quarter. Now, obviously not all his fault. We've been over that before, but nonetheless. And, now look at us. We're shutting down Michael Thomas. Emmanuel Sanders got shut down. Deontay Harris, the punt returns. But, that was pretty much the worst part about the game was the punt returns and then kind of the offense. But, those 3 picks. So you had the first one where Sean Murphy Bunting was pressing, and then he had a really good press. Of course, Saints fans are going to call it holding because they, are inept and don't know anything. And it was a great press. And then Drew Brees threw the ball, and Sean Murphy Bunting was in a great position to make a play. He did. And then, had a great return, too. Almost got a pick 6. Then, I think I might be confused. Yeah, then the second interception. That was like Derek Brooks Super Bowl-esque, where Devin White's running across the field. He gets a perfect read on the ball, catches it in stride, runs it back. It's a great return. Stiff arms a guy. That was a nice looking stiff arm too, to be honest with you. And then, we were up by 3 in the fourth quarter with about 6 minutes left when that happened. Then we scored a touchdown. The game's pretty much out of reach at that point. The Saints got the ball back with a little under 5 minutes, and they're down by 2 scores. You can't really, that's tough to come back from. It's pretty much impossible, especially in the playoffs. And then Mike Edwards makes one of the greatest plays in Buccaneers history, and it will go down. This play will go down as one of the best Buccaneer plays of all time. That interception he made where it was tipped, and then he caught it barely on the side. I love it. I love it. And I actually just realized something. I realized that I do not have my microphone plugged in that I should. So I'm going to plug it in now. And I'm not going to edit this out because I don't care. So just a second. Now, how about that? Thank you. I love it. Okay. Hopefully that sounds better. But if it doesn't, I don't know. But I will say that that was, I've already said that was one of my happiest moments of my life. And I was watching with a group of people, very funny, very, very fun to watch it with the 20 Bucs fans. I mean, that was like being at the game almost, except obviously not at all. But in terms of like the crowd atmosphere, that was kind of fun. And so, so those 3 interceptions really changed the game. Winfield's fumble, that changed the game too. I mean, all of it really changed the game. The offense was, I didn't have any turnovers. That was the big problem, or that was the big problem last year. So then that was a big deal that we didn't have any turnovers. Sorry about that. I'm not 100% sure what happened there. It might have been when I was messing with my mic. I messed up something. Not surprised. But do I care? No, because the Bucs beat the Saints. And I love it. Now, we're talking about the turnovers. The offense didn't have any turnovers. So the offense wasn't great, but it was efficient and didn't put the defense in a bad position. And they were able to get the job done at the end of the day, 30-20. Now 30 points, that's got a lot of points. A lot of it was set up by the defense, but still there's still a little and I know this is like, come on, Will, don't say this, but the offense, the offense has to be great because the defense was great. We won, but you can't really. We're mostly known for our offense. You can't really expect the defense to do that every single week, and we pretty much only won that game because of how good our defense played. And we need our offense to be more self-sustaining in a way. There's just too many on 3rd and 1s. We go 50 yards down the field. It's almost like a joke. Like I mentioned that several times with these people I was with. I was like, it was 3rd and 1. I make a joke. Do you think we go 40 or 50 yards down the field this play? And they'd be like, and then we do that, and it's incomplete like normal. So that needs to change. I do think that the play calling needs to get better. The Saints always play good defensively against us, though. I'm not 100% sure why. Some of it has to do with the play calling, but offensively. Fournette had a good day. Fournette had a good day running the ball, which I was impressed with because Ronald Jones was supposed to play, but then, because he was injured the whole week, then was listed as active, but it wasn't 100%, so he didn't end up getting the start. But Fournette came in and did well. But, at the same time, Ronald Jones is clearly the better running back because even in the small amount of carries that Ronald Jones did have, I don't have the numbers pulled up like I normally do, but you could tell that he was better. But he was obviously injured, so they're kind of keeping him on a pitch count in a sense. But he should be good this week. I'm not 100% sure because Fournette's been playing well, so it's not a crime shame to play Fournette over a not 100% Ronald Jones. But at the same time, you want your best player out there, and I do believe Ronald Jones is that guy. Leonard Fournette had a very clutch touchdown catch. That was a bullet right to him. It almost kind of looked like a drop, but there wasn't enough evidence to really overturn it. And, that was a game-sealing touchdown. So, off of the game-sealing interception by Devin White. And, Tyler Johnson, too. That catch will also go down as one of the greatest plays in Buccaneers history. Without that catch, that was the drive that gave us the lead, that gave us the field goal, where we took the first lead. And then when we come back and, we get the interception and score, that Tyler Johnson, that was on 3rd and long. That helped keep the drive alive. That was a huge, huge catch. And I just love it. We were pissed. We were pissed. And they have a right to be pissed because like us fans who are sick of the constant trash talking, the disrespect that we get on Twitter. The Saints, like their literal Twitter account, the Saints Twitter account, they would post stuff especially after they beat us week 9. They would repost Arian tweets about how he's the Arian said basically just making fun of Bruce Arians and misquoting him and trying to be funny because funny. Do you know what's also funny? You at home this week. We have so Saints. This is what I have to say to you. If a New Orleans Saints player listens to this and it's they listen, let's just assume they listen to it right now. My football team. So what did you do today? I'm just curious. What did you do today? Did you wake up, sleep in, maybe watch some TV? Yeah. So my football team, my team had practice today. Your team did not. Would you care to explain to me why? Thank you. Now I hate him. I really do. And I could not avoid. I mean, and it was Drew Brees' last game. It was so perfect because the Saints are going to be bad next season. They're going to suck, and I'm going to explain that too. They're over $90 million. They're 98. I actually have the number put up on this. $98 million over cap space, and if Drew Brees retires, they get $30 million of it back, and that's still like $68 million over cap, basically $70 million. And I mean, they're gonna have to get rid of a lot of players. Oh well. And we're gonna talk about the future quarterback apparently for them. And he made a little appearance in the playoff game. I'll have to say to New Orleans had one legitimate drive, and it was right after halftime. The other touchdown, as every single one of you are aware of, was when Drew Brees came out of the game and famous Jameis Winston checked into the game. And they did a little trick play. It was the same one the Bears ran against the Saints where the guy dropped the touchdown, but it was still wide open. And then the Saints run that against us. And Carlton Davis is on man coverage. And I can't remember who the receiver was that caught the touchdown pass, but Carlton Davis abandons his man. It wasn't all his fault, but it was, I would say that play was 80% Carlton Davis's fault. But it was a little tricky. It was a good play design. I have to give credit where it's due to the Bears, not the Saints. I'm not giving any credit to the Saints because they stole it from the Bears who used it against them the week before. So, I mean, do you want me to give you credit for calling it? I'm not giving you any credit for creating it, which is all I'm giving you credit for. So, the creation and the design by Matt Nagy and not Sean Payton, to be specific, it was really good. It really confuses the corners because there's a lot of misdirection. So Kamara was slipping out to the left, and this is if you're looking at it from the offense perspective. They had Kamara snap the ball, who hands it off to a receiver. So if this is Kamara, they have a receiver here. Kamara takes a direct snap, runs this way, passes it to the receiver, and then Jameis Winston is over here. And then the receiver passes it to Jameis Winston. And meanwhile, Kamara motioned out that way and was kind of open for a little bit. But the problem is the safety who we had on the play, we only had one safety on the field. He was already over there and would have covered that play. So Carlton Davis should have stayed on his man where he was and stayed over there. So basically they ended up double covering, long story short, they ended up double covering Kamara. The other guy was wide open because Carlton Davis abandoned his man. And of course, because we know how this works. We're Bucs fans. We know what happens when players leave Tampa. We know what happens. Jameis Winston had to throw the touchdown pass. He's celebrating, did a little jiving. He did the whole, eat a W thing last time he beat us and dance in our locker room. They all got fined, by the way, because they're the Saints and they cheat, obviously. And I just have to say one thing about Jameis Winston. I mean, you talk about the fall from grace from the Will Neely standards, okay? I used to like this guy. He was my, I liked him in college when I was, how old was I? So I'm 19 now. So I was geez, that was 7 years ago, 8 years ago now. I mean, I was 11 really when he was his peak at FSU. And that was kind of when I was starting to get into football, like intensely getting into football, studying players, actually learning things. And he was one of those pioneers for me, especially at the college level. And and then he gets drafted to the Bucs, #1 overall. So it's kind of the perfect story. You're one of your favorite college players now is on your favorite NFL team. So it's one of those stories. And then he kind of had some obviously he had some ups and downs, and I gave him every chance that I could. Not all of it was his fault, to be fair. Even now that we went through a lot of bad coaches, and you can say, oh well, it was him. I mean, I can tell you. I mean, at a bare minimum. Actually, not even at a bare minimum. Lovie Smith, obviously, that he was just a horrible coach. He was horrible before Jameis got here. He was horrible when he got here. And then Dirk Cutter, I would say, was kind of a mix of both Jameis and Dirk Cutter, but I would say mostly Dirk Cutter because Dirk Cutter went back to being the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, and then he was horrible. He already got fired again. So, I mean, do we really think that it was Jameis' fault for Dirk Cutter? Because Dirk Cutter just got fired again being a lower level coach. So, I mean, that's kind of, you know what I mean? But Arians and, all these other things, they've had a lot of ups and downs with this coaching staff. But let me just tell you. So Jameis Winston had a lot of ups and downs. Some of it his fault, some of it not his fault. And, last season was like the really like weird season. He had 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. And I kept thinking, well, his first year in the system, Carson Palmer defended him. And Carson Palmer is a very good quarterback under Arians' system. And he said Jameis is going to fix all those issues. So, I had trust. And obviously I was a little biased. But at the end of the day, I'm a Bucs fan. I'm not a Jameis Winston fan. And, the Bucs decided to get Brady. And, a lot of people confuse this. And to set the record straight here about Jameis and Brady, I was like, I wasn't completely sold on Brady at the time we signed him. And I wasn't completely, sold on getting rid of Jameis. But I wasn't also, I wasn't against it. I was kind of neutral. I was more of I kind of took a position that said, I want to see results, right? I'm not going to get super hyped right now. We just signed Brady. I want to see results. And so I said, I'm not going to make a decision on if we got rid of Jameis was a good idea or not until, I see results. Because I kept saying, what I thought. But I really, and you guys probably noticed this too, I didn't take a definitive stance on it. I kind of just presented the information and was like, let's not overhype it. But at the same time, this is kind of cool. But now, with factual evidence of Tom Brady's season, 40 touchdowns, 40. So Jameis set the record for Buccaneers franchise history with 33. Tom Brady threw 40. And he didn't throw 30 interceptions. He threw 12. 40 touchdowns, 12 picks. And we're in the NFC Championship game. That is a fact. Tom Brady, after all this, he's not the perfect quarterback. Statistically, he's looked good, but he has missed some stuff. The system's hard the first year. But, I mean, give me a break to some of you guys, or to anyone, not you guys, because, honestly, I'll get into why I'm so pissed off about this in general. The Jameis Winston, the whole Jameis Winston thing, it's over. It's not even a question anymore. Jameis is horrible, and it was so good we got rid of him. So good. It was the best thing for our franchise. We've changed the culture. We're in the NFC Championship game, even if nothing happens from here, which, I hope it doesn't, but even if nothing happens from here, we literally made the NFC Championship game. We're a top 2 team in the NFC. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Jameis Winston, we haven't even made the play. We haven't even sniffed the playoffs under Jameis Winston. And then immediately in Brady, in one season, already NFC Championship game. And let me just put this into context. So I go to Florida State University, and I like it. I like this school. Oh, okay, it's backwards in the camera. As many of you know. And, as a very good program for what I want to do, sports management, as the number 1 program in the nation, right? So it's, good school for me. A lot of people, a lot of my friends go here. A lot of my friends go to Florida too. Just kind of, whatever what you're majoring in is kind of just whatever, right? But here's the thing. People here, except my roommate actually, they are just in love with Jameis Winston. All these FSU accounts, all these FSU football accounts have been following since I was 10 years old on Instagram. Obviously they like Jameis, and I thought they would realize, I thought they would have brains and realize that he sucks, that he's not good. Because we saw the evidence of what Tom Brady did with almost the exact same team. The only difference on the team is we added Gronk, who is just kind of a name in the mix of a lot of our good tight ends, and Leonard Fournette, who didn't even really start until the last few games. So, and then I guess LaShawn McCoy, Tyler Johnson, they haven't really made a huge impact. I mean, Tyler Johnson had a great game, but James wouldn't even got us there, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, what Tom Brady did with literally the exact same team and took us to an NFC Championship game. What are you delusional? And then these fan accounts, these FSU football fan accounts, I had it with them. I had it with them when they were posting Jameis eating the W after he beat us. I unfollowed most of them. And here's the thing that's irritating me so bad, and I tried to hide this well, and he's probably listening to this, so I don't mean this in a mean way, but I had lunch with with someone with a alumni from FSU on Tuesday, and we were talking about it, and he's a huge FSU football fan. He goes to like all the away games too. Like he's like one of those guys. Obviously love him. Love people who travel to see their football team play. It's the greatest thing of all time. If I had money and I wasn't a broke college kid, I'd be doing the exact same thing. And he was like, so we were talking about the Bucs, and he was like, I'm mad at the Bucs. I don't really hope they win. I was like, oh, like what do you mean? Why are you mad at the Bucs? He said, I think they gave up on Jameis too early. And I sat there, and I'm eating, and I looked at him. And I was expecting there would be a punchline at the end of that like horrendous joke, and there was nothing. And then I was like, I looked at my food. I looked at my food again. I was like, and then I kept looking at my food, and then in my head I'm like, are you kidding me? You think we gave up on him too early? I might have thought that at one point, but then I did this thing called looking at facts. That's what I did. So here's the thing. Here's the difference. I look at facts. I look at film. And then I make a decision based definitively and objectively that Jameis Winston sucks. And I hope he has the worst career in NFL history. That's what I said. Him and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I hope they literally have the worst career in NFL history. They wasted my time. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just irritates me. Jameis wasted a draft pick. He wasted my time. He betrayed me. He literally turned down more money to sign with the Saints, who's in our division, in spite of us. He then dances on our logo, dances in the locker room when he doesn't even do anything. Just when his football team, he's a backup, by the way. When his football team beats, he dances, he showboats like an idiot because he's an immature, unprofessional, crappy quarterback. I mean, let's just be honest here. And a lot of you people are like, oh, look who completely changed their stance on Jameis Winston. Look, that's how this works. When a player is on your football team, you like them and you defend them, and then when they leave and go to your rival, you now hate them, and especially when they suck. I have a valid reason to do this and kind of go back on pretty much everything I've said the last 5 years. Because Jameis Winston, and let's actually continue this. So I'm with that guy again, and he's talking about the whole Jameis Winston thing, and I was like, okay, well, obviously this individual just suffers from bias, and really, unfortunately, he's going to be listening to this. You really don't know what you're talking about, which is okay, and it's just sad. And then I unfollowed all these FSU fan accounts because they're literally idiots. Like, how can you defend Jameis Winston? He probably should be in jail, for being honest, for things off the field that we're not going to talk about. But I mean, there's a slew of that, and then his poor performance on the field with this horrible leadership. And then we have a real quarterback come in, a real professional come in, who's the GOAT, and he might be old, but he's the GOAT, and he's professional, and he knows how to lead. And he comes in, executes the system correctly, doesn't complain, doesn't do these stupid sideline antics, and he successfully led us to an NFC Championship game. Jameis Winston is going to be, I think, the next quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. There's a video of Drew Brees where you can read his lips. He said, "This is your team now." That's what he said to Jameis Winston. And so obviously that implies that Jameis Winston will be the starting quarterback next year. Obviously they could draft someone, but it sounds like they're going to re-sign Jameis. That's what the reports have been saying the last few weeks. And now Drew Brees is saying that they are going to re-sign him. That it's his team now. And, I mean, I will admit, we've seen this before where we cut, our first round draft pick quarterback, and he goes on to have Hall of Fame careers. Example, Steve Young. Obviously, that's our most prominent example. Trent Dilfer's not a Hall of Famer, but he went on to win 2 Super Bowls. Doug Williams. I mean, he was kind of good. That was kind of a different story, but, the point I'm trying to make here is we've seen this before, and if Jameis goes on to have a great NFL career and he's in our division and he wins a Super, I'm gonna lose it. I can't stand Jameis Winston. I mean, sometimes what's funny is a Florida State guy. I looked at it. This is completely off topic, but I used to like the whole like Jimbo Fisher, Jameis Winston, like kind of like that was like a thing, and like people loved them too. There was like the dynamic duo. Now I hate both of them so badly, but anyways, it's just funny how things worked out. 8 years later, it's like, oh, like they won my college national championship, yay! And now I literally hate both of them so badly I can't even put it into words. And we sent Jameis home. Goodbye. The team that left you, so we signed a better quarterback than you. And then you go and sign with our division rival because you think you can beat us. But they think that your football team can beat us because, he didn't do anything except, besides that touchdown pass in the playoffs. And then his football team does beat us in week 9 and they celebrate. He celebrates. He showboats. He does all this stupid crap. And then what do? We go out and beat him when it matters, and we sent him home. I love it. So that pretty much is going to cover the Saints game. And to hit on some last, reminders here. Michael Thomas, the reason a lot of people keep saying, why did he have 0 catches? Carlton Davis is really good at playing man. Michael Thomas, for some reason, normally he's good against man, but he did not match up well that game. And we were just mad. The Bucs were just tired of losing to them, and we wanted to go to the Super. We want to go. We want to make a deep playoff run, and we weren't going to lose to them a third time. We were just mad. Todd Bowles had the perfect game plan of that man coverage. If I said there was one issue, if the one issue on the defense would be the pass rush, and we're gonna really get into that in the Packers video. This video was almost like an appreciation. There was less like super in-depth football content, but I mean, what else is there to say? I pretty much hit all the points. Defense played great. Todd Bowles had the best game plan he's ever had in his entire career, and it was literally perfect. And we played press man, and then on offense we weren't great. We went deep too many times. For the second and short, the third and shorts, I don't like it. We need to balance that out. At least balance it out. Not only go short to intermediate, but balance out the deep and the short. Just kind of make sure that it's just not always deep. It's just kind of, come on. And the running on first down on the first play of the game, that's just like weird that we do it every time, to be honest. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I've covered about the Saints. We sent Drew Brees home. He will not play another football game again, it looks like, and we sent him home on that note. Love it, love it. We sent Chauncey Gardner-Johnson home. Can't stand him. Love it. Cameron Jordan. Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. And Marshawn Lattimore, of course. Just the trio of just, don't you just love them? Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this one. This is a historic win. So a win that I've been waiting pretty much my whole life for. And I will see you guys in the Packers video. And let's just no matter what happens, let's just appreciate this and go Bucs.